Today I'm going to be exposing the truth of what it was like to be an openly gay kid in an Australian high school. Before I start this video, I just want to say that my experience does not reflect those of all gay people, nor does it reflect the experience of all people in the LGBTQ plus community. It's just my experience. Let's get started. So I've been out since the start of year 10, and since then I've noticed some both positive and negative things about being openly gay in high school that I just want to share with you guys. The first positive thing that I will say about being openly gay in high school is that the friends that you do make are some of the best people you'll ever meet ever. My friends are so amazing. They've had my back since day one, and they're just such a source of positive energy for me. You guys know who you are. You're like the best people ever. I love all of you. Yeah, so all the friends that I have made in high school are so open-minded, and they're just the kindest people ever. So that's definitely a positive thing I will say. The second positive thing I will say about being openly gay in high school is that you indirectly raise awareness for gay rights and the LGBTQ plus community. I know it sounds weird, but I have an example. Okay, so when I first moved to my new high school, there's this guy in my grade. At first, he was really homophobic. He'd say shit behind my back. He'd like talk about me. He'd use the F slur, not fuck, the other F slur, you know what I mean? It was really bad. He like talk about me behind my back, saying like homophobic stuff. And at first I didn't mind it because like I expected that that type of behavior would be common in high school. Like I'd expect people to say shit about me behind my back. As bad as it is, you just kind of like deal with it. But anyway, by the time we graduated, he actually sent me a DM like apologizing for everything he did say about me behind my back. But it was really nice of him in a way, because in his apology he said like, I changed as a person. I even told my friends that what we were doing was wrong, and like make sure that that never happens again, and that he is now more aware of like the struggles that LGBTQ plus people have to face in society with prejudice and stuff. And I actually thought that was like really genuine of him to send that apology. And that was just one instance out of many where like just by me being there, I kind of like raised awareness in a sense about the fact that gay people are just normal people. I'm just glad that like me being there had an impact on the way that they viewed things like that. I'm actually really happy about that, and that is another positive thing that I will say about being openly gay in high school. Now that I've talked a bit about the positive aspects of being gay in high school, I'll start to talk about the negative aspects of being gay. The first one is a pretty big one. It's isolation. So the most obvious sign of isolation that I felt in my 3 years of being out was the fact that a lot of people really didn't want to be my friend because of the fact that I was gay. Now let me explain this in more detail. So when I first transferred into my new school, since I was a new student, I got a lot of like attention, not in a narcissistic way. It's just that you get more attention when you're a new student. Like everyone wants to know who you are, know what you like, maybe bring you into their friend group or whatever. And yeah, so a lot of people were being really nice to me at the start of the year. A lot of people came up to me being like, hi, or like they wanted to ask more questions about me and be like, oh, well, have, if you're, if you're ever in any need, you can always talk to me, you know, that type of stuff. But like, as the word spread out that I was openly gay, they started to like switch up. I don't know for what reason. They just like started to distance themselves from me. A lot of the people that were nice to me at first, they just like didn't approach me afterwards. It's almost as if like they didn't know who I was anymore, like treating me as if I was invisible, stuff like that. There was this one guy who was friendly with me in our first class, and then after a few weeks he just like basically like acted as if he didn't even know who I was. So that's really something that I experienced quite a bit when I first entered my new school, and that's something you kind of have to just like watch out for, I guess. So the second thing about isolation is that I never really felt like I fit in anywhere. Now, this thing that I'm about to mention, I feel like is more prominent in Australian high schools, but there's this whole notion about the boys, which is basically like just all the boys in the grade are like tight knit in a way, and they're like friendly with each other, and then they're just like separate from the girls. It's kind of this like weird thing, but I just didn't really fit in with the boys, and it wasn't even because of the fact that I was gay. Like, you could still be gay and like fit with the guys in the grade. Like, it's not that. It's just our personalities kind of clashed. So I kind of didn't really feel comfortable with hanging out with a lot of the guys in the grade. And there was also this on top of that, it was also the fact that a lot of them were homophobic. Anyway, so then I went to look for friends for like from like the girls of the grade, and even then I still felt like I just didn't fit in with any of them. Like, all their friend groups were so like established already, and I just didn't feel like I belonged with them. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with the fact that even though I'm gay, I'm still not a girl, if that makes sense. I feel like I'd be I feel like that it would be easier for me to fit in with the girls had I been just like a biological girl. But I don't know if it's just me that feels this, but just because of the fact that I'm a guy, even though I'm gay, it kind of makes it hard for me to be accepted if I was to join like a group of girls and be friends with them. But anyways, I got over that insecurity, and then I joined a group of girls, best friend group ever. You guys know who you are. And yeah, I was the only guy in that group, but who the fuck cares? No one cares. And yeah, a lot of the times it would just be this distinction between the boys TM, and then like the girls plus Jerome. I'd hear that a lot in high school, just being referred to as the girls and Jerome or the girls plus Jerome, because I'd always just be there with the girls. Even in classrooms, when we were sitting down, it's so segregated in our high school that the guys would sit on one side of the room, and then it would just be the girls and I on the other side of the room. I wish I had photos, but it was genuinely like that. I think in every single class, I was sitting with the girls, like my female friends. And then the last thing about isolation is the changing rooms. Okay, this is such a big, like, important topic that we need to cover. So when we had like PE or gym class or whatever you call it in America, we'd go in the change rooms to change into our uniforms, right? So the boys would be on one side of the change room, and then everyone else that didn't fit in with them would be on the other side of the change room. So I was on that side. Let me tell you, the changing rooms were the most uncomfortable. It's one of the most uncomfortable moments of my high school life. So I was just minding my business, like changing my clothes and stuff. I just wanted to get in and get out, and just like do my business. But the boys were being really weird about me being there, as if I was going to do anything creepy to them. Like, that's such a stupid generalization to make, that just because I'm gay, it doesn't mean that I'm gonna like every guy that I see. That's such a stupid generalization to make, but I guess that's just common thinking in high school. And to be honest, they weren't even that hot. So that was just a thing that I experienced in being gay in high school, is just like being kind of looked down upon because they think that you're gonna do something creepy or whatever to them. And I didn't even like any of them anyway. Another negative thing about being openly gay in high school is the name calling slash bullying. Thankfully, no physical bullying has ever happened to me, but there was a lot of like cyberbullying. I heard from my friends that a lot of people, boys, were talking about me behind my back, saying homophobic stuff. I just heard it from other people. I didn't even know that that was happening to me, but it was just really immature, I guess, on their part, and just, yeah, it was really annoying to have to deal with all the homophobia. There were a lot of slurs thrown around, the F word, the F slur that I mentioned earlier, and just a lot of negativity just because I was gay. And there's no other reason to it. They just find a reason to just want to like exclude you and hate you. If you're openly gay, that's something that you're gonna have to go through. As bad as it is, as terrible as cyberbullying is, you just gotta stand up for yourself and tell people when they're being like absolute dickheads and tell them off. Like, you need to stand up for yourself. There was this one guy in my grade. We were in a group chat together, because we were doing some like leadership thing or whatever, and then he mentioned that something that he didn't like. It wasn't even that like important or whatever. He was just like, that's so gay. He used it in that type of way. So I had to DM him and be like, hey, that's not cool. Like, why would you describe something that you don't like as gay? That's just homophobic. Just replace it with a different word, like, oh, I don't like this idea or whatever. You don't have to like say that shit. So yeah, that's something you're gonna constantly have to deal with, is like people talking about you behind your back. I mean, when I was in high school, I didn't think much of it, but looking back, that's so messed up. Like, I can't believe people in my grade like said those things about me, about gay people. It's so like frustrating that that had to happen, but we got through it, and I just hope that that never happens to anyone ever again. And the last negative thing that I have to say about being openly gay in high school is, drumroll or whatever, falling for straight boys. This is such this brings back so many painful memories of just like having a crush on this boy in my grade and then not being able to do anything about it because he was straight. This happened approximately like 3 times, maybe three or four boys in my grade I developed feelings for. For a long time, a lot of the guys in my grade wouldn't even show like basic respect or be nice to me. So whenever like a guy showed the slightest bit of kindness towards me, I'd just mistake it as the possibility of feelings being there. And oh my god, I was so naive to think that I'd ever have a chance with them. And then so I started to develop feelings for them, which is so cringy to think about. But yeah, I developed feelings for a lot of, not a lot, just a few guys in my grade just because they were nice to me, which is stupid. And I just have like a word of advice just to not do that. Like, know your worth. Just because a guy is being nice to you doesn't mean that he likes you, or doesn't mean that there's any possibility of you being together. It's just, don't fall for straight guys, please. Oh my god. There was this one boy in my grade, and he was really nice to me, and I mistook that as like, oh, there's a possibility of him liking me, which was never gonna happen. Anyway, so then I told him that I liked him, and then he was like, well, sorry, I can't reciprocate those feelings, but I hope we can still be friends. Well, we still stayed friends, but like the point stands that please do not fall for straight guys, because that's just gonna hurt you in the end. And it just left me feeling disappointed, even though I was really naive to think that anything would happen out of them being nice to me. I think that was just a product of so much negativity I faced from the guys in the grade that I would just mistake any sort of like kindness or niceness as like them liking me, which is naive. Just don't do it. The moral stands that you should only fall for boys who like you back, period. Like, only like boys who like you back, period. That's just my word of advice. Like boys who like you back. So taking all of those things into account, overall, I had a pretty positive experience of being openly gay in high school. No one like said anything to my face. All the negativity was like said behind my back. So most of the time I just was like living my best life, like with my friends and everything. It was pretty fun. I made a lot of really good friends. Some friends that I wouldn't trade for anything. I wouldn't trade them for the world. They are just so supportive and open-minded, and you just can't find those friends anywhere else. They're irreplaceable to me. I had such a good time. If we're talking about like being openly gay in high school, I had a really fun time like expressing myself, being who I am, and yeah, I wouldn't trade that experience for the world. If anything, I just hope that this serves as inspiration for you to live your best life in high school, no matter what you identify as. And I hope that this also serves as like kind of a warning, like warning signs, red flags to look out for when you're entering high school. And yeah, hopefully you guys learned something from this video, and hopefully you were entertained a bit. And yeah, I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.